I'm going to go ahead and welcome everyone while we're figuring out some technical issues here. And because before we get into going through a lot of the details, I'm going to let Dr. Farrell, our department chair, introduce himself and welcome the new students to the department. So, Dr. Farrell, the floor is yours.
Kevin, thank you. And for all the staff that are present, I really appreciate you guys bringing the students together as well as our new faculty, if there are any new faculty attending at this time, to discuss what it means to be a graduate student. And the first thing that I believe it means for you guys is congratulations. You've been accepted into one of the most prestigious universities anywhere in the world. And I believe that you're in one of the most productive and collegial colleges within that university. And you've been enrolled into one of the most highly functioning and collegial departments within the college. So the agronomy department is a place where it's not only going to service you by giving you unparalleled educational opportunities that you'll carry with you the rest of your career, but you are going to build bridges, you're going to build friendships that you're going to have with you from now and forever. There are few relationships that you'll ever have in your life that are going to be as special as the ones that you develop over the next few years as you and your colleagues work toward these degrees. You're going to have some tremendous highs when the experiments work well together and you high-five each other, and there's going to be a few lows where you commiserate with each other until that problem is fixed. But these relationships are going to be pivotal to your future, and it's just going to add a tremendous amount of joy to the time that you have here at the University of Florida. So I want to thank every one of you for participating with this degree program, with the advisors that you have. But as you start off on this journey, the most important thing you can do on day one is understand what is required of you. And that is what Dr. Ken Worthy and the other staff members are going to provide to you today. They're going to talk to you about what forms you need, when you need them, when you need to be working with your advisor, when you need to be working directly with the graduate coordinator. So they're going to help you understand what is needed, when it is needed, and if you can really do a good job of maintaining all of these deadlines, then the rest of it just becomes easier and easier. So, Kevin, I just wanted to say welcome and thank you. Is there anything in particular you would like us to address before you guys move on to the meat and potatoes part of the discussion?
No, sir. I think you covered it. Appreciate that nice welcome to everyone. And we'll go ahead and get started with staff introductions. Well, there's a lot of us. So how many? We just have the two.
Somebody's coming, going to be joining in a minute.
Okay.
That's also online.
All right. So we'll go ahead and do the staff introductions because these are really the most important people that will be assisting you. You will connect with, you will turn to for help during your time as a graduate student. So we're going to go around the floor here in this room, let everyone introduce themselves and tell you their role in the department and how they may or may not work directly assisting graduate students. Netta, since you're standing, I'm going to let you go first.
Hi, I'm Netta. I'm the IT admin for agronomy. My office is here in McCarty B on the second floor. So if you need anything, feel free to stop by. You can also reach out to me online and yeah, feel free to stop by. I'd love to meet you. And if you need anything, I'm here to help.
Alexia.
Hi, I'm Alexia Craig. I'm the academic assistant one. I am located in the main agronomy department office. Just as soon as you walk in, I'm right there. Not really sure what I do in terms of how I help you. I'm very new to my role, so I'm still figuring that all out. But if you reach out, I'm sure I can figure something out for you.
Alexia will have been that person along with Lorraine, who will go next, that you would have worked with as part of your application process. So she's very involved early on with the students. And then the students tend to get mostly turned over to Lorraine, she can go next.
Hi, I'm Lorraine. I'm the academic specialist for the department. And basically, you will be dealing with me, as Dr. Kenworthy has said, the biggest part of once you get here. I'll be the one just keeping you, making sure you stay on point and in line so that you'll be able to graduate from the program. So everything that comes once you get here as being a student, from registration, once you get ready to graduate, you'll be dealing with me, and a whole lot of other stuff that'll come along. And I won't list everything because it's just a lot of it, or whatever. But you'll always be getting emails from me every time something's coming up, some type of milestone that's coming up within the while that you hear, you be getting emails from me, and I'll be asking for information on that. And again, Alexia will be working with me on that. A lot of those too, as she said, she's just started, she's particularly new, but anything that you students need once you get here or before you get here in the application process, Alexia and I will be the two people that will be working with you on that.
And I'm going to skip around a little bit and let Ken go next, HR person.
Yeah, my name is Ken Baker and I'm the admin specialist for agronomy, and my main job is to do all the human resource work. So if you're gonna have any kind of job with us or anything like that, I'll be the person to reach out to in agronomy to help you with any of those issues.
So Ken will also be very critical with the onboarding and letters and those sorts of things. So I skipped around so that and I can make the point. You get an email from Alexia, Lorraine, or Ken. They're all important emails from all of us. But these three in particular, those are really important emails that you need to respond to and address and follow up on as quickly as possible. Carolina?
You're out of the camera, by the way.
Oh, I'm out of the camera. I'm not important.
So my name is Carolina Benrame, and I'm the marketing and communications person for the agronomy department. I get to promote your exit seminars when it's time for that, and any other thing that needs promotion, I will be doing that.
She can help you with any communications that you might need assistance with. Jimmy?
Hi, I'm Jimmy, and I'm the accountant for agronomy department. And you will rarely get any emails from me. But basically, we'll be in contact for anything related to travel and all those kind of stuff. If you get reward traveling and all that, but then we'll barely get in contact. But if you want to speak with me or anything, my office is right in the main office, right next to Alicia table.
In your programs, there are things that you can do within your program or things that may be kind of departmentally facilitated. And some of those are shipping. We have accounts with FedEx or UPS, and it's easy to use these accounts and you get a really nice discount. But when you use these accounts, it's important to communicate with Jimmy and Carolina because they're going to help process the receipts on those accounts. And a lot of times, when students or faculty don't contact the office staff and use these accounts, the payments kind of get left in the wind somewhere, and someone has to figure that out and follow up. So if you're using one of those accounts, then please go ahead and let them know so those charges can be accounted for very quickly. The next person will be Dr. Koenig, and I am the graduate coordinator, but Dr. Koenig also helps in many important ways with coordination of graduate programs, particularly the agroecology program. So I'll let Dr. Koenig.
Yeah, so we have Kendall on, and I know there's another student that'll be joining. So we have 4 of the agroecology concentration students starting this semester. And I'll be your point person, as I already have been, in terms of communicating about the program, getting you just situation on track, and then each semester helping you select the right courses, which then I'll help you identify the proper person or form to get you registered for those courses. So You'll sort of stick with me throughout your program and I'll be your main point of contact. But also Lorraine will do it like as with the other students, a lot of the helps with the registration and tracking your program and just setting us reminders and those sorts of things. So welcome. Thanks for coming on board.
Please let us know if you have any particular questions for staff right now, because I'm going to let most of them go. Or Dr. Farrell, because I know he has things to do as well. Okay. Before everyone, well, Dr. Farrell, you can go, but before everyone else in the room goes, I'm going to let Patrick, he's our graduate student rep, to introduce himself today in the Agronomy Graduate Student Association, and he'll provide some information about that and graduate life in the agronomy department. Patrick?
Yeah, so well, great to meet you all. I hope to see you this Friday. We're going to be having an event, so be looking out. I usually send emails once every, maybe once a month or so about our events. But I'm the president of the Agronomy Graduate Student Association, which is a really cool organization that belongs to the students of this department and serves the students within the agronomy department. Usually for like social and professional development is our two kind of concentration areas that we specialize in. And we have departmental backing, so we have a little bit of funds as provided to us annually by the department. So we can always provide food and other kinds of marketing and promotional materials that we can fund from the department, which is very nice. We can use this room, we can use space provided by the department. And so what we kind of do is in the beginning of the semesters, we'll have a kickoff social. We had one last year. And then during the semester, we try to plan either professional development events like seminars, we'll have guest speakers, or we'll go on a field trip. So in the spring, we did one field trip to Field and Fork Farm. And then this past fall, we had one seminar that we had hosted Dr. Zhao. So this spring, we want to be a little more ambitious and we're going to have three speaking events and then probably an additional social to the one that we're going to have this Friday night. But a lot of us, I will say on the board, we have, I think, 7 or 8 board members. They are all students from our department, and most of us will be graduating in the spring. So we will be needing to turn over and have new students like you joining the leadership this spring. So we will have elections, and usually they aren't typically that competitive, but we just need people to volunteer to join the board and can kind of schedule and make these things happen. We have the freedom to do a lot of things as a student organization. We're all very busy as graduate students, but we can still make time to come together and host events that we'll also provide virtually. So for those of you who are off campus, we have a seminar. It will be streamed on Zoom, so you can watch it from wherever you are. But anyways, yeah, my name is Patrick Belk. You'll probably see an email from me later today with some more information. And I look forward to meeting some of you and having a good semester.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah.
Any questions for Patrick? We have a silent group. But you're going to have to speak up now because I'm going to ask you to please introduce yourselves to the rest of us. Vikash, we'll let you go first.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vikas, and I'm basically from India. And I joined UF from last 1 year. I'm working as an intern here, and now I will pursue masters in the agronomy department. And I'm very happy to start my new journey. And it was nice to meet you, all of you.
Vikash, thank you. Are you on campus or at one of our RECs?
No, I'm located in NFREC Quincy. Yeah.
Okay, great. Kendall?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kendall. I am actually a UF IFAS employee here down in DeSoto County, which is Arcadia. I'm the livestock extension agent. I just started this role about 7 or 8 months ago. So I'm relatively new to UF and the employment side, but I did graduate with my undergrad back in 2022. So I'm excited to be a double Gator grad. It's been a long time coming. So it's nice to meet everybody.
Great.
Cool.
And Magus?
That's Ken.
Oh, that's just a screen name. Sorry. My name is Ken. Nice to meet you all. I'm in Orlando. I'll be taking the majority of all the coursework from here. I've taken interest in getting back to school. It's been a while. I've been out for over 20 years. Nearly 20. I last received a master's from the UW over on the West Coast, studying soils and well, it's a soil pedology concentration, but really it was about salmon and riparian corridors and nutrient cycling. But I'm interested in agroecology at this point and regenerative processes. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. And I look forward to meeting you all at some point when I'm up in the area.
Okay, great. Well, thank you three for joining us. The three of you guys will stay on, and I'll let everyone go but Lorraine and Alexia. Oh, Rose is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rose.
I got other stuff I can do.
No, Rose has to stay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah. Share the handbook. If that works
Sure.
for you, I have a meeting at 9 a.m., but I should be free anytime after 10 a.m.
Okay, all right. I'll probably come by around 1.
It needed to be mine because I have certain things highlighted.
Okay. So Kevin.
Yes.
Because we have 1 master's and then 2 online, and they want, I don't know if you've been thinking about like going through everything, but we don't have to cover PhD.
Yeah,
And then
I
maybe-
hadn't, I
maybe we can-
didn't know who was joining, so.
So,
Like, so.
because there's a lot of
Monday
stuff,
or
is a little different from
Talk to Dr.
for the
Ken.
online students, so.
we could do this maybe? Sure. Is this okay to have like the?
Yeah, that's
video
fine.
here? Okay, I think you're also.
I don't need this over here.
I think we could just close that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, can everybody see the handbook?
Yes.
Yes.
Alright.
Thanks, Netta.
You're welcome.
Okay, I really didn't introduce myself. Kevin Kenworthy. I'm a professor in the agronomy department, have been here since 2004. This is my 2nd year formally as graduate coordinator. There's still lots of things that I haven't experienced, and there are always new things coming up that I haven't had experience with, but I know who to turn to. Lorraine has tremendous experience, and Dr. Koenig has tremendous experience, and there are others that we can turn to as well. So please come to this group for any issues. My role is really to serve you in a capacity if you're struggling with anything to do with your program, major professor, life here at the University of Florida, or life in general. My role and Dr. Koenig's role would be to assist you with resources to deal with those issues. If it's courses and degree programs, Dr. Koenig and I are involved in terms of approving and signing paperwork, but it's really Lorraine who deals with those in terms of submission into the UF system. But I want you to know that we're all here to help you in any way possible and to make your life in the department as great of an experience as you have imagined beginning these programs. Graduate school, I always tell my students, graduate school is not easy. Otherwise, everyone would get a graduate degree. There's always some periods of ups and downs and struggles, and we're here to help guide you through those and make this a great experience. With that, I'm going to go through the graduate student handbook. This is a lengthy document, and my first admission to you is that this document needs some drastic updating. It needs some considerable time spent on it, and there are plans to do that in the next year. But we're not going to hit every detail in this handbook. It should have been emailed to you already. You should have a copy of it. If not, then please let Alexia know and she can send you a copy. It's also available on the department website where you can access it as a PDF file. But I'll go through and I'll highlight some areas. Dr. Koenig just pointed out that of the students that have joined us, we don't have a PhD student, so we may actually gloss over some of those components. But generally, what's good for a PhD student is good for any graduate student. So we'll probably keep some of that in, but some of the details, the requirements for a PhD degree, we won't really mention. So with that, we will get started. Oh.
Should I go and get that up?
It's just,
I know, but it's going side to side. It's not scrolling like a word
Up and
file.
down.
Right.
Yeah, let's go get Netta.
I'll be.
Otherwise, this will be far more confusing.
Are you not able to just go onto our website? Is that the website?
This is my file and I have things highlighted
Okay.
to help signal me
Okay.
to cover.
Mhm, okay. Oh, I got it.
Yeah. Oh, maybe this is it. Maybe we just need to click this.
Oh, yeah, she's got it.
Here we go.
You got it. Oh, you figured it out.
I figured it out.
Sorry. Well, if you need anything else, let me know. Will do, thank you.
Okay, now we're off and running. Graduate Student Handbook, University of Florida Agronomy major. All right, so there's a lengthy table of contents. Importantly here, first up are resources that can help you as graduate students with your life at the University of Florida. I'm gonna see if I can get rid of. Did y'all think that would disappear when I just? This mouse is awful.
It is. I was struggling with it earlier. Try show tabs only. Oh, okay.
All right. Most importantly are Gator Grad Care for insurance, and if you need to see a doctor, although you do have insurance, you should be able to go to a doctor on your own, but there are campus resources for visiting a doctor. And the International Center is very important for our international students. You've probably already interacted with the International Center as part of your admission and arrival. If you haven't obtained a Gator One card, then you need to do that as well. And you can do that here on campus. There is broader IT support that you can go through at the UF Help Desk, but Netta, who you met here today, is someone within the department that you can turn to. And I'm trying to find the.
So I wanted to, I didn't want it to confuse the students that are doing the agroecology concentration. So the only reason you're certainly free to get a Gator One card, but if you're not coming on campus, you know, you're basically in Orlando or in another location, you don't need that Gator One card. You just need your Gator ID to do any kind of services or access information through the One UF. So don't worry about it. You don't have to make a special trip here unless you really want to have your photo ID, which you're free. It's not free. You have to pay for it, but you're free to come and get it. As far as the Gator Grad Care insurance, that's not required for students who do not come on campus. So again, the agroecology concentration students do not have to provide, prove their insurance, because in theory, you're not supposed to be coming on campus. It's not something that you're going to be asked to do. However, for the one student that is enrolling at the Research and Education Center, make sure you enroll by the date or you're going to be charged. So get with I don't know, Lorraine or your major professor if you haven't received anything from that Gator Grad Care office, but they're going to be telling you that there's a deadline after you're officially hired to sign up for that. And if you miss that deadline, you will have to pay out of pocket for your insurance. Did you have anything to add, Lorraine, on that?
I was just gonna say also with the Gator Grad insurance, it automatically to your account add regular insurance to your account, which is about $1,200. So you need to make sure that when you get your hire paperwork that you follow all the instructions there and make sure that you complete the waiver that comes along with that. And that waiver is just something that you will fill out and send to the health center stating that you are a graduate assistant and that you have Gator Grad Care. And then once they get that, they will remove that $1,200 from your account. And you will basically just pay, I think it's, I can't remember, but it's a whole lot less expensive than $1,200 for the Gator Grad Care. But if you have any questions about that, just contact me and I can go through it with you.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I didn't know that you guys didn't need a Gator One card, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And I thought you got the first one for free. I didn't know you had to pay for the first one.
I don't think so. I mean, I think they charge
The
now
the digital one is free. So
Oh.
the physical card, you have to pay $10 for it.
Okay. When I started in ancient times, the first one was free.
Yeah.
And I still have that one. It has split apart and I only have one half of it, the important half with the barcodes that you scan. But I would get a new one, but they want me to pay for it. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, importantly here, this is what I was searching around for a while ago, is the information on mental health. There are counselors that you can have access to at the University of Florida. And these are important resources, and these are easy to find just by searching the graduate school or the UF website in general. But there is a link here in the agronomy department handbook that can provide the same assistance as well. I just want to make sure that you are aware of these important resources. Okay. There is I think that Lorraine and Dr. Koenig have actually covered some of these statements about the out-of-work network medical providers used by students at RECs, but there is more information here in the handbook. If you are supported by department funds, and that's I want to qualify what that means. Not every graduate student on a research assistantship will be supported by department funds. You may be supported by a grant or other funds that your major faculty member has. That doesn't mean those are department funds. You may be supported by grant funds from your faculty member and department funds, or you could be supported wholly by department funds. I do recommend that you understand where your funding comes from, particularly if some of those funds are from department sources, because you have responsibilities if you are covered by the department. And that's just a portion of your funding would be covered by the department. That means that you have an annual requirement to serve as a teaching assistant for one course each academic year. TA assignments or duties are assigned by me each year. Sometimes if you have a major professor who has a need for a teaching assistant, they will make a recommendation to me that their student be assigned to them, and I always try to accommodate those recommendations. But this is an important criteria and responsibility if you are covered by department funds. And if you don't know you're covered by department funds, but at some point you get assigned as a TA from me, that means that you are covered by department funds and you need to comply with that assignment. Generally, the instructor for the course of which you're assigned will reach out to coordinate with you in advance of the course. So there is some organization and structure to that. I'm going to scroll back up for this. There is a graduate assistants union at the University of Florida. Information on that and the collective bargaining agreement can be found here. I have never had students get involved in the GAU, so I don't honestly know a lot about that. Rose, do you know much about that?
Well, typically the representatives sometimes will come to these meetings, but basically their group advocates for things that a collective bargaining agreement would entail, which a lot has to do with, wage increases, mostly job, because graduate assistantships or research assistantships are jobs. So anything that would be a benefit that might affect like a graduate student in their role. So they're there just like a union, represents workers. They're representing graduate students as a union, advocating for better wages, better benefits, trying to improve the life of students on campus. But they do require a small amount of funds every year, I think, to become a member. And usually when they come to the meeting, they just try to encourage students to just do some research about their organization. And of course, it's voluntary whether you want to join or not.
You guys are all admitted since you're here today, so you've already been through the letter process, but this is a little bit of information about your letter of appointment. I'm not sure why the letter of offer is not included here, but anyway, you've already been through this and signed letters, and that's why you're able to be here today. Holidays, personal leave, and vacation. These are important metrics to understand. An academic holiday does not automatically excuse a graduate assistant from work duties, but the department would expect the student to have the day off from work if previously arranged with the supervisor, and expect the supervisor to assign urgent work duties to OPS and Teams employees during UF academic holidays and closures. Graduate assistants, this is important. Graduate assistants receive 5 days of personal leave during a semester. There is no paid vacation for a graduate assistant. The department expects a student to arrange in advance the time that a graduate assistant desires to take personal days. So you can take these 5 days for whatever reason you want. It is best to communicate in advance to your major chair that you're working with in order to use these 5 days. If you need, or if you're hoping to get more than 5 days, then you absolutely have to communicate that with your boss or major professor in advance, and they do not have to provide you with any time beyond these 5 days. I expect that they probably would work with you in the best way that they can, but they do not have to. And you need to understand the difference between within those 5 days or something in excess of those 5 days. Payroll. You may be admitted and you may be here, but it's likely that you're not quite on payroll. This is unfortunately one of the most frustrating processes that I see, not just graduate students, but postdocs and even every new employees. This is an incredibly frustrating process. Nobody understands why it takes so long to be set up on payroll and to actually get your first paycheck. If I were you, or I strongly recommend that you follow up with your HR representative or your major professor about getting on payroll to see that this is arranged as soon as possible. If you're not hearing anything, follow up again. It's incredibly important that students get paid as soon as possible. And you can be your own first advocate for making this happen because the HR personnel, your major professor, they're going to get distracted with other things that are going on. And so please keep this at the forefront of everyone's attention. There are tuition waivers that you may have depending on the type of graduate student that you are. And these are generally not set up until the semester has started. You may see that you have a charge that you don't think you should be charged within your account, and that may go away once the tuition waiver is assigned. But please feel free to reach out, ask your major professor, ask Jimmy, the accountant, about these fees that you may see in your account to double check whether or not you need to pay for any of those fees. It is recommended, so you see that you have something due in your account, something like a tuition waiver or tuition payment, and you know that your tuition is supposed to be accounted for. But you're worried about being assessed a $100 late fee. We do recommend, because of the gap between the late fee assessment and the tuition waiver going through, that you could make a very small payment, such as $10, and that will eliminate that $100 late fee. It is an inconvenience to have to do this, but it avoids further inconvenience of a late fee or other issues that may need to be dealt with. Each student receiving remuneration in any form or amount through the university is expected to keep their major professor informed at all times of their availabilities and expected to depart from the Gainesville vicinity only after approval from the major professor. Just always communicate where you need to go and the days that may include with your major professor. For international students, there is a greater than 1% physical presence activity. Please, if you have questions about this, read the information, check with Lorraine, check with your international counselor. As a guide, holders of a J-1 visa are restricted to one course delivered in 100% online modality in the entire degree program. F-1 visa holders may take up to one online class per semester. You will be offered several online classes. There will be small requirements for to meet the physical in-person requirement. And so make sure you're paying attention to those requirements for each class. Check with the instructors of those classes. If you have questions, ask them about the in-person requirement or physical presence requirement. And you can also check with Lorraine, because those statements will need to be included in the course syllabi. Everything will need to be communicated very well with you so that these requirements are met.
Dr. Kenworthy, I
Yes.
just want to piggyback on what you just said about
Okay.
the physical presence versus the online courses. Also, make sure you check your emails constantly, because also the International Student Center will be sending out emails regarding this, because they get a report. And if you are not registered correctly with the in-person and online courses, they'll send you an email and tell you that you need to change your schedule to meet the one course online, and all the other courses have to be in person. So you will get an email from them, and partially you may start getting emails from me, because I get another report from our dean that comes to me also regarding that. And so again, look out for emails from me too, because I'll probably be emailing you, letting you know that you're not in compliance with that registration and you need to correct your registration at that time.
And I would say just in general, definitely for the online agroecology concentration students, but this applies to students at RECs and research and education centers, as well as on campus. When you're looking at most courses at the graduate level at the University of Florida, within the College of Agriculture, you will see multiple sections of the course when you're on one UF. So for all of the online students, you are going to be registering through one of the either Lorraine in our department or her partners, in other departments, because you must be registered by those individuals into the specific section of the course, so that you're not charged these extra fees that we're talking about above, because if you were in a regular section, they're going to be looking for insurance, they're going to be looking that you have vaccinations, there's certain requirements to be on campus, but those don't apply to you. So we need to make sure you're in the right courses. Or again, reports are run and they're going to say, hey, what is Ken doing, in this section of the course? And then it just takes a lot of time to get you out of a course once the drop add period begins. So it's best to start in the right section. And that applies to the research and education center students, because you pay less fees than an on-campus student. And also, if you're international, we need to make sure that you're in the right section, that it's going to meet your visa requirements. So, don't wait till the last minute to register, because that a lot of times the problems come when students are panicking. It's the last day to register. They go on to one UF because one UF doesn't know. They're going to allow you to register, and you're going to find yourself perhaps in the wrong section. And then you won't know until you get the bill from the bursar, and you'll say, hey, why are they charging me so much? Or, why is this being charged? So the system eventually will catch the mistakes, but we want to prevent them so that it saves you time and it saves us a lot of headache. And then for international students, especially, that you don't run into problems associated with your visa.
Thank you.
Let me just back up or reiterate. Register through Lorraine.
Yes.
And you have a form, correct?
Yes, there's a form that you can complete and submit, and it will go to my registration email box. And once I see that in that box, I will proceed to get you registered for a course. Or if I have a question for it, I'll email you back and ask you questions if it's something that I can't register you for. But basically, for our agronomy students, I register you for all of our agronomy courses. If they're not agronomy courses, you would need to contact the college or department where that course is offered for assistance with registration. But what I do most of the time, if I see it on my form that you put it there, I'll usually, once I email you, letting you know that I've got you registered for my agronomy course, I'll give you the information of who to contact to get registered for that other course that's not my agronomy course.
Excellent. Social Security, international students need to be in the US 10 days prior to applying for a Social Security card. The department makes every effort to assist the student with the necessary tools to remain compliant with policy. To begin employment, acquiring a Social Security card is necessary, and you must take to the Social Security office your letter of offer and letter of appointment. Details that are needed on those letters follow, but if it's a letter of offer or appointment from the department, it will have those details. So just be aware that you need the Social Security card to be employed, and it can take 10 days, or you need to be in the US 10 days prior to even applying for a Social Security card. Some requirements within the department. A cumulative GPA of 3.0 is required. Grades of C or higher are passing grades. Courses with earned grades below C are failing grades for the graduate student. So that means a C minus is a failing grade. So you need to be aware if a graduate student is assigned a C or even a C plus, then I will be notified of this and follow up with you. We want to make sure that our students are achieving at least a 3.0 GPA. And so we want to make sure if there are concerns that we can help with as to why the students aren't achieving at the level of a 3.0. Graduate assistant continuous. Graduate assistantship continuance is contingent on performing your employment duties as well as maintaining a 3.0 GPA. This policy is petitionable for one semester only for those on assistantship. So if you fall below a 3.0, we can assist with a petition to keep you on assistantship, but we can only do that for one semester. You must get your GPA above 3.0 following that semester. My advice is not to let an incomplete grade linger. Incomplete grades have a place, and they're very useful when there are extenuating circumstances, but don't let them linger or they may become a failing grade if you don't address those. Make sure you're following up with the semester who assigned the incomplete grade, and you don't want to wait until the end of your graduate program to do this. You need to do this shortly after the semester ended in which you received an incomplete grade.
So you have basically one semester. At the end of, you finish a class, you take an I. If you don't complete the work, then that next semester, it becomes a failing grade. And that's gonna, if you're on assistantship, all of a sudden you're gonna find yourself likely or maybe below a 3.0. So yeah, incomplete grades, the most important thing to know is that they turn into failing grades if you don't do the work the following semester.
If you're going to serve as a TA, there is online trainings that are required. And we send these out each year to each group of assigned students that you must comply with the training. And I think this is something that needs to be updated, right, Lorraine? We talked about this last semester.
Yes, the FERPA is one of the trainings that you need to take. The Maintaining a Safe and Respectful Campus, that one, the name of that one changed. So, but when you get ready, if you're doing a TA, I will also be working with you on that and giving you the information on what those course trainings you need to take, because you have to register for those trainings And then you'll get a certificate once you're done with those trainings. And I will need those certificates for both of those trainings before I can register you for the TA course that comes along with that.
There is a portal here that you could go to regardless of whether we have the names correct or not. And again, as mentioned, when you are given a TA assignment, you will be told about these trainings with the proper titles. Enrollment in AGR 6940 supervised teaching. This is the teaching course that Lorraine was referring to, is applicable in the term TA duties are performed or a future term. For instance, you might TA in one semester, but you could, but for whatever reason, you didn't register for the supervised teaching credits. Well, you can do that a following semester to go ahead and get those teaching credits if you want to. I will say that it's not a requirement to enroll in this supervised teaching if you're serving as a TA. Certainly having those credits looks good on your transcripts and resumes or CVs so that you can show future employees that you have experience teaching. But it's definitely not something that you should feel obligated to sign up for every single semester that you're serving as a TA. It's totally your choice, and depending on how many credits you want for AGR 6940. And it's normally provided at 1 to 2 credit hours, and that's up to the instructor of the course that you will be TAing for. There are some visa compliance that you need to be aware of in terms of enrollment for international students, and you can always follow up with questions with the International Center or the department. In the fall and spring, you must register for 9 credit hours. This conforms to U.S. immigration and your letter of appointment. In the summer, a lapse can be permitted per U.S. immigration if not in conflict with your source of funding. Third-party funding may provide some guidance on not enrolling for a summer semester, but as a rule of thumb, you should count on enrolling every single semester for your graduate program. There are some allowances that can be made if students are having some difficulty in their degree program. And for those questions, you should follow up with me to learn about those various options. Research hour enrollment. There are different guidelines here for whether you're a master's or PhD student, and we don't have a PhD student in the meeting today, so we'll focus on the master's student requirement. You will need to have some enrollment for research for master's thesis, AGR 6971. And there is a maximum amount of enrollment, but you do need some of these research hours. And then the rest of this really has to do with PhD students. But just be aware, we'll look at this again as we go through the handbook in a little more detail in a moment. Graduate seminar or AGR 6933 enrollment. All agronomy graduate students are required to present an exit seminar to their supervisory committee describing your thesis or even non-thesis project. Students are required to enroll in 6930, the graduate seminar, in the semester an exit seminar is given. And ideally, this is your final semester of your program. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but that's always the goal, is that you enroll and give your seminar your last semester. You will need to communicate with Lorraine well in advance You're going to work with your major professor and your committee to develop a date for your exit seminar. And then you're going to want to very quickly communicate that with Lorraine so that she can get that in the books. And then she will also work with Carolina so that an announcement is sent out by the department. So the seminar is open to the general public so that anyone can attend. If there is a defense, then that is generally following the open seminar, and most defenses are closed to a committee, but that could be open as well, depending on the program or the major chair of the student. And so along with that final term enrollment, again, all students must enroll for AGR 6933 Agronomy Graduate Seminar. That's 1 credit. If you're an MS thesis, then you need AGR 6971. You need 3 credits to be enrolled in your final term, if in the fall or spring, or 2 credits in the summer. If you're a non-thesis student, you need to enroll in AGR 6905 Agroecology Project. And that's 2 credits if in the agroecology concentration, or, well, this is a little bit redundant.
Yeah, it's basic, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's 2 credits.
2
On the
credits.
way. Yeah.
Whether if you're a non-thesis, you're gonna register for 2 credits of AGR 6905. Come on.
What they're saying is that sometimes we have students that have an MS degree and they're a non-thesis and they're not in the agroecology concentration. So that's just covering students that might not be doing a thesis for some reason, and they're not in the agroecology program.
What does full-time enrollment mean? That means 9 to 12 credits that you're registered for in the fall or spring, and typically that's 9, and 6 to 8 credits in the summer.
Do we have GAs? Okay, yes, in that summer credit, just to kind of clarify that, it is actually 6 credits if you are not on if you're receiving, well, none of you guys won't, so never mind. You guys, none of you are doing that. I was gonna mention about the lack.
Yeah, that's not, that
thing.
doesn't exist.
So that doesn't exist to you guys. Sorry about
And
that.
that program's going away.
But
Yeah.
still,
We still have some
still got
students.
some that had those on my mind, because that's one thing. We had a problem with that. Couple semesters ago.
Whether your program is on campus or at an REC, there will be department or program vehicles that may be available. If it's a department vehicle on campus, then you would want to reserve the use of that through Carolina, who was introduced in this meeting as our communications person in the department. If you're using a department vehicle, or if you're using a vehicle in your program, please understand that is a UF-owned vehicle, and you need to become familiar with the policy and procedures of operating any UF-owned vehicle. If your program has equipment for field work, then you need to understand proper procedure and receive training on the use of that machinery, such as a tractor. Most situations, tractor work would not be required of a graduate student. There would be other personnel available to do that, but there could be certain programs or situations where you may need to operate some equipment, and make sure you have proper training to do that. And not just an online video, but you receive firsthand instruction from someone, either a lab manager, a biological scientist or your major professor or a farm personnel in order to properly operate that machinery. If you don't know, ask questions. Your safety is of primary interest for these situations where you may operate machinery. We want to make sure everyone's careful for their own safety and for the safety of others. So please ask questions, okay? You do need to have a copy of your driver's license on file with the department or your REC in order to operate these UF-owned vehicles. There are certain student learning outcomes that come with your programs. These have been developed, and it's our goals that these SLOs are achieved as part of your graduate program. Number one, we hope that our students demonstrate competence in core knowledge of the basic plant sciences. And we have these core areas in the Department of Agroecology, Forage, Grassland Ecology and Management, Plant Breeding, Genetics and Genomics, Crop Physiology, Nutrition and Management, and Statistical Applications. And then with Weed Science and Ecology. These are the major areas of research in the department. And these have been lumped into 4 core areas that we require all graduate students to be competent in, and we'll talk about those classes here in a few minutes. SLO number 2 is that we want students to be able to design and execute an innovative research plan so that they can analyze, synthesize, and interpret their results based on appropriate experimental designs and statistical procedures. SLO number 3, we hope that your program here prepares you for leadership roles in the discipline beyond the department, whether you choose to go into academia, private industry, or government sectors. SLO number 4, students must demonstrate an ability and excellent to critical think. We hope that you obtain sufficient skills in scientific writing, experimental techniques, data collection, analysis, and synthesis. And this means that you don't rely on AI to write things for yourselves. We will be developing an AI policy in the department very soon. We understand that AI is now a part of everyone's lives. And there are situations where using AI is appropriate, and there are situations where using AI is not appropriate. And you need to pay attention to these. And please understand that when you use AI, you're not understanding how that information might have been synthesized. AI provides very little information about how the information was put together. And as a graduate student, you're expected to become the expert in your field of research. And you can't do that if you're relying solely on AI. So please bring your own boundaries for the use of AI and understand where it's appropriate and allowed and where it's not. Student learning outcome number 5, we want our students to demonstrate excellence in oral and written communication. And these are achieved in a proposal seminar, in an exit seminar, and in a defense, and also through oral examination if you at some point enter a PhD program. We do expect professional and ethical conduct with evidence of scholarly activities. And that part of this means a level of extremely high levels of collegiality within the department, within your program. You're going to be around a cultural diverse group of individuals. So you are expected to have cultural sensitivity and to follow a set of ethical behaviors. These ethical behaviors and practices must be demonstrated in conduct of all your scholarly activities that includes teaching, research, and outreach. Please be aware of these diverse settings that you're involved in within your lab and within your department and within the universities, and let's all respect each other. Not so much that's important for you right now since you're just beginning, but every student will be evaluated annually after the spring semester. Lorraine and Alexia and I will be involved with sending email notifications out each spring for students that must be evaluated each spring. So you will see this, and your major professor will see these requirements for the annual evaluations. And there are forms here that you can look at for thesis students and non-thesis students. And those forms are pretty simple. There are more complex forms that you can find when you look through the UF graduate student resources, but within the department, we have a fairly simplified form for conducting this evaluation. If you're a thesis student and even non-thesis student, there will be a supervisory committee. For a thesis student, that supervisory committee is generally composed of more individuals. A non-thesis student could have more, but the requirements are for fewer committee members. The graduate advisor serves as the chair of the student supervisory committee. If the advisor is at an REC and a student spends considerable time on main campus, I would think about and discuss with your major chair the appointment of a co-chair who is on campus. A co-chair is not required, but if you're spending significant time on campus, then a co-chair can really help you find a home on campus and a place to go to interact with other students that are conducting similar research as yours. It really is important that you spend time around other graduate students at RECs or on campus. When I look back on my own graduate career, I learned as much from my fellow graduate students as I did from going to class, as I did from the faculty members. You can learn a lot from your fellow graduate students. They're extremely valuable and important resources. And as Dr. Farrell talked about in his introduction, these are relationships that are going to go with you beyond the walls of the University of Florida, and those relationships will support you throughout your academic or research or industry-based career. So it's really important that you interact with other graduate students. The committee that is assigned is responsible for working with you in approval of your coursework and will provide guidance throughout your graduate program in the development of your research program and also with conclusion of your research program. The supervisory committee has the primary responsibility for ensuring that you're entering and creating a high quality research project and degree program. Your graduate advisor should ensure that they're providing adequate resources available for your student. If you do not feel that you're being provided adequate resources, please come talk to me. Some of these situations I can address, and some of these I cannot. However, I want to be aware, and I want to do what I can to help you with gaining access to the resources that are needed so that you have a successful graduate program. The graduate advisor confirms the student is in compliance with departmental requirements by periodically reviewing the program of study with the student. We haven't talked about this, and we'll talk about the program of study in more detail here in a few minutes. The PhD students also need an individual development plan, which we won't cover today. The annual evaluation we just discussed is completed by your academic graduate advisor. But the committee is also given or has circulated the evaluation, and the committee, each committee member will also sign that evaluation. Okay, here's where we have the minimum number of committee members and the roles of those committee members for graduate students with agronomy majors. Those of you in non-thesis program, the committee has 2 members, that being the chair, which is an agronomy faculty member. A co-chair is not permitted. The second member of your committee member can be any UF faculty member. They do not have to belong to the department. For an MS thesis student, there is a minimum requirement of 3 members. There can be more, and you could, if you choose, have an additional member for a non-thesis, but there's not a requirement beyond those 2. For a thesis student, the chair must be an agronomy faculty member, and a second member must be an agronomy faculty member. The third member of that committee can be any UF faculty member. If you have a minor, then you will need a minor representation, and a minor would be something outside of the agronomy department, and the third member would need to represent that minor. And the minor representative will approve the coursework that's been designated towards that minor. For an MS degree, that is 6 to 18 credits, depending on the minor. And those are chosen by the department in which the minor is in. Those are not selected by us in the agronomy department. So to obtain a minor, for instance, in entomology and nematology, you need to check with the department to understand the requirements for a minor in that department. And I can help do that if needed. There's some additional information related to what we've talked about. There are several different forms. This is the committee appointment form. This is something that you will work on. You can reach out to Lorraine if you can't locate the form, but there's a link for it here. Or also there are links to the forms on the agronomy graduate website, our agronomy website within the graduate student section. And this is not a difficult form to fill out. It's something that you will work with your graduate advisor in terms of deciding who will serve on your committee. You'll fill that out. You will communicate with each prospective committee member to make sure they're willing to serve on your committee. You would fill that out, submit it to Lorraine and I. I would review the committee form and then either have some suggestions for adjustments, or most likely will approve it for Lorraine to submit within the GIMS system or within our formal system. The supervisory committee must meet after being appointed in order to guide the student with a list of courses for the program of study and to review the research proposal. If for some reason you leave your program and then seek admission in the future, there are policies and guidelines for doing that. We won't cover that right now for this meeting. And we have mentioned the program of study a couple of times. This is an important component and something that you need to be aware of. And I would even suggest that you're the driving force in your program for completing the program of study. I'm not sure where it talks about right here, I believe. Well, I'm not sure where it says that you're supposed to have this submitted by the end of your second semester. I would encourage you to begin working on this your first semester and have a goal for getting it submitted as soon as possible. Let's think about a non-thesis student or a an MS thesis student, which should be, particularly an MS student should be 2 years. If you wait until the end of your second semester, you're halfway through with your program and you're just now getting a program of study approved and just getting support and advice from your committee. You're meeting the requirements, but you're actually doing yourself a disservice by waiting that long. Get your program in place, have a path for your program, and getting this POS form approved provides that pathway for you. And it provides you some confidence to know that you're on the right track. And it gives you something to review back and to check off as you're going through your program. And if your major professor isn't trying to push you to do this, then push them to get this done. It will only help you and serve as a guide for your entire graduate program at the University of Florida. So there are different requirements in terms of coursework, whether to put in your program of study, whether you're MS non-thesis, MS thesis, or PhD student. But the process really remains the same. You're going to select courses and discuss those with your chair. Complete the program of study template. That template will get submitted to the graduate coordinator for a preliminary review. And depending on if your MS thesis or MS non-thesis in agroecology, that will get reviewed by either me or Dr. Koenig, and we will provide some guidance back. And I'll be honest, most faculty don't understand the requirements for a program of study to be finally approved. And so there's generally going to be some errors on those forms, and we will provide some recommendations for modifications or adjustments. And don't let this sort of thing cause any stress. Just understand it normally takes 1 or 2 back and forth emails to get these in good shape so that they can be submitted. Once it's in good shape, we recommend that it is presented to your committee along with your research proposal so that the committee can then make suggestions for modification or approval to the list of courses. And once that occurs and you, the student, give word to myself and Lorraine, we will provide a final evaluation and final approval, and the program of study will get signed off on by the committee, and Lorraine can formally submit that program of study. It's important to get this worked out correctly up front so that you do not have to make changes as you go through your graduate career. We can make changes, but we don't want to do that because that's more paperwork that falls into Lorraine's office in order to do that. On your program of study, there are minimum requirements. Many students take courses above and beyond those requirements, but for the program of study, you want to list the minimum requirements. If you list requirements that are above the minimum and you do not then meet all those requirements, such as a certain course didn't make, and you weren't able to take that course, but it's in your program of study, well, then we're going to have to change the program of study, okay? So if the requirements are above the minimum and you didn't meet those, then we have to make changes to the program of study. If you take courses that are above and beyond or in addition to what are listed on the program of study, we don't have to make changes because you've taken what was listed in that program of study. So you can add courses as you choose. Something may not have been available when you develop your program of study. There may be a new course offering and you decide to take that along the way, and you can do that. You can take things that are in addition to what's listed on the program of study, and we don't have to make changes. One of the core requirements, and this is very important for new master's students, generally PhD students will have met these core requirements often in another program before they even came to UF. But there are certain core requirements of graduate courses that we want all students to meet in the department. And that's because, or the rationale behind this is that we want our students to be not just focus on your area of research. We want you to come out of our department as an agronomist, as someone with broader skills that can then be more broadly employed either in an academic setting or in a setting with a company in an industry. We don't want you to be so narrowly focused that you have difficulty finding employment. And that's the rationale for having these 4 core categories in the program. And Rose, this is not a requirement for.
Yeah, so I was going to say for the students that are in agroecology, there is, so as Dr. Kenworthy said, for all students, if you go to the agronomy website under students or academics, I think it is, you'll find the graduate main page. And when you get onto the graduate main page, there's a tab for current students. So you are all now current students. And if you go into the current students tab, you will find the copy of this student handbook. The first thing you're going to see is the registration course forms that goes to Lorraine for any agronomy courses. But also these program of study templates are there. And there's one there for agroecology specifically. That outlines all of the courses that are required for the program. There's some choice categories in there where you have to take like one within agronomy and one in another course, another department. So you'll fill that out. But these courses, many of these courses are already embedded into the non-thesis program requirements. The only one area that we do not have a requirement for is the plant breeding and genetics core area. However, there have been some students, especially at the research and education centers, that have been also doing the agroecology concentration as thesis students. If you are a thesis student, you can follow the curriculum, but for one of the electives, you will still need to take a plant breeding course. So I'm going to be looking for one of those plant breeding courses as your elective. This way, you're consistent with all the other thesis students in the department. If again, you're non-thesis, such as you, Kendall and Ken, you'll just follow the regular form, and I'll go through that with you. The one other thing I wanted to say for the non-thesis students that are going part-time, I don't say by the second semester because sometimes students are only taking one course. So I look at around 18 credits, which is about the equivalent of 2 semesters. Once you get 18 credits in there, that's when we make sure that we get all those forms signed off on, and you have your supervisory committee. But you're going to follow a template from day one. So typically you're going to be on track, but I'll make sure you're on track too. So this does not pertain to non-thesis distant students that are not doing a thesis. These 4 areas do still pertain to any student who decides to do agroecology concentration at a research and education center or even on campus who are doing a thesis. So I hope that's clear.
Sometimes students come in that are going to be an MS student, and then they select to add the agroecology concentration.
Well, they won't be adding it now. They'll be doing it.
Right.
And then as one of their electives, they still have to get the plant breeding course,
Yeah.
and then they'll be in compliance with the department.
Right. So that you understand, these courses listed in these 4 categories this is a department requirement, and these lists are department lists. If you're looking at a course, this is important for VCash. If you're looking at a course and it's not listed here, but you think it might comply with one of these 4 categories, and it's really important for your graduate program, then reach out to me. All I have to do is click in the box and add a course if I agree that it works and meets the needs for these core categories. New courses get added, some courses get dropped, and we need to go through and actually update these lists, but just understand this is all departmentally controlled, and something that you feel could apply that you don't see here may be easily added. So just to be aware of that. And then also you'll notice that some of these are bolded and some of them are not. So I'm going to go ahead and skip down quite a bit and help you understand what the bolded courses mean. There are courses that the graduate school that have been formally associated with the agronomy major. And those are submitted and approved at the graduate school. Any of those bolded courses are listed here as graduate courses that are approved for the agronomy major. And those are particularly important for MS students, and maybe just for the thesis students.
Yeah, our program already has them.
Yeah, your program is the thesis program is a lot more, it's broader and there's a greater selection. It's not as programmatic step.
Well, the agronomy, the agroecology concentration was designed to make sure that every course is required is offered online. And that was developed prior to COVID. So some of it is a history of, at that time, there weren't many online courses. Nowadays, there's more online courses available. But that's why when you say, it had particular courses that were developed for the agroecology concentration. So
those bolded courses, then they serve double duty. They meet the core requirement, and they also meet the requirement for students taking a minimum number of credits in the major. Okay, so there are a minimum number of credits that must be taken in the major, and those courses are listed there. Many of those also meet our core requirement classification. All right, so we're scrolling back up.
And I wanted to just say one more thing, and I'm going to say it without ever seeing each of your 1UFs. But apparently we learned last semester that graduate students now are going to be able to see sort of the requirements that they still have to do in a department based on what the department has submitted to the graduate school. So there may come a time where, well, even from the beginning of your graduate degree program, there's going to be courses that are, especially in the agroecology concentration, sort of uploaded into the system to keep you on track. So there's a way in 1UF to kind of see what you have left and, you know, what you've taken. That's always existed for our undergraduate students, but now the graduate school has put in these programs of study and the requirements for each department in the system. So if you ever see something that has an X on it where you haven't completed that requirement, that's a good clue to talk to your advisor, just to make sure that, you know, it's not going to cause a problem at graduation.
Okay, following the list of the courses for the core requirements are several examples for programs of study. There was the PhD. Here's again another PhD. Here's an MS program of study for, and this is a non-thesis. You see here non-thesis program of study.
And we have a better updated form on the graduates on our website.
Right.
So I will send you a link to the updated.
So you can, there's a link in the website. That's the form you should use. It is slightly different than the form you see here. An important thing for master students are this minimum of 15 credits towards the agronomy major. 12 of which, really 12 credits towards the agronomy major, because it says 15, but 3 of those can be a master's research, which is different. So this really isn't correct for agroecology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, even though it says agroecology, it's not correct. This is one of those areas where this handbook needs to be drastically updated. And so here, this is an example of an MS program of study with a thesis. Same statement here, 15 credits towards the agronomy major, 12 of which are not AGR 6971. So this is where you refer to those list of courses further down that we just scrolled towards. So you need to make sure you have 12 credits of those courses. And honestly, I don't believe most of our faculty members know this rule, because this is where I spend a lot of time reviewing programs of study. And I know it's where the prior graduate coordinator spent a lot of time reviewing programs of study, because he educated me on this. And but this is something that you can make things far easier on yourself to recognize and understand these rules, and to develop a program that follows the rules. And then it takes far fewer back and forth evaluations of these forms in order to get them submitted. So you may have courses that are outside those approved for the agronomy major, and that's fine. You can list those here in the program of study. A master's program has a minimum of 30 credits. A maximum of 6 credits of AGR 6971 can go towards those 30. It's very likely you may end up taking more than 6 credits of AGR 6971, and that's shown right here. But you're only going to put 6 in the form because that's a minimum. Unless you don't have enough regular coursework to get up to the 30, then you can put more. You want a total of 30. If it's unusual for MS students to transfer graduate course credits, but if there is something that you may think can transfer, then that would be listed in the form. We would need to get approval for that, but mostly you're going to list courses that are agronomy related, and then courses that are outside the agronomy major. And you're going to fill in the gaps with AGR 6971 master's research. And Also in here, the title's not provided, but AGR 6933 is the graduate seminar. And you're going to list that in your program of study. You don't have to list the specific semester year because sometimes that can be somewhat of an unknown. Most of these courses, you're going to know when they're offered in a spring or a fall and which year, even or odd numbered years. And so you're going to be able to very specifically select the semester and year that those are offered. And that will provide you with a guide or a path to completing your graduate program. Sometimes things happen and we don't know the exact final semester, so we don't have to put the final semester for graduate seminar, and we don't always know which semesters we're going to sign up for master's research. So you can put various in here instead of a specific semester and year. And for some reason on this program of study, it has 6971 mentioned twice. And you don't want to do that in your program of study either. And then there are some things here that need to be eliminated from the graduate handbook that we don't have, no longer following the department. This IDP is something for PhD students, so we don't need to cover that this year or this semester. Near the back are where MS non-thesis requirements are described in good detail. When I review programs of study, I always turn to these sections in the graduate student handbook. If it's been a while, it's been a few months since I've looked at a program of study and I need to refresh myself, this is where I go look, because this is where everything is summarized. We've hit a lot of these highlights through our purview of the handbook, but this is where it all comes together and you can find things very easily so that you know that you're on the right track. And so here we have this for MS non-thesis, MS with thesis. And so if it's been several months and I just want a refresher, I look here and make sure, oh, there's a minimum of 6 credits for AGR 6971. They may show more than that if they need that to get to their minimum of 30 credits. There's a minimum of those 12 credits of agronomy-related courses. That's in the list down below. We need to also look for that we're complying with the 4 core requirement. That's a departmental requirement that is actually not listed here, but it's something that I always remember, but that needs to get added in here with this list as well. And then that requirement of 1 credit of agronomy graduate seminar in the final term is also listed here. So this is an easy way to check and balance your program of study as you're going through and developing it, is to look at these requirements that are located near the end of the handbook. It can also give you information about any type of final examination that may be required for a thesis or non-thesis degree. It provides information about the supervisory committee, and it even kind of gives you an idea of how to track yourself. Month 1 goals, month 3, month 6 through 12 to get you through that first year of your graduate program. And there it is for a PhD, which we won't go into. Sometimes the students can come up with some ideas for dual degrees or joint majors. These have their own levels of difficulty for getting approved and complying with, but some of these can be achieved if that's something that is of interest to a student. There are ways to perform research elsewhere outside of UF that can be applied to your research thesis. And then if you are developing a thesis that has to get submitted to the graduate college for review, then you do need to review these editorial standards so that you, number one, you develop your thesis following a template approved by the graduate college, that you've downloaded the correct template and you're following those guidelines will help you get off to the right foot. And then again, here are those courses, and you need 12 of these for the MS thesis, and then these will be there is already a list for the agroecology that you will follow. And that's really it. Certificate activities, I always forward that to Dr. Koenig, and she helps to manage. And Kara as well helps to manage the certificates.
But those would not, they don't really apply to graduate students within our department unless you're transferring in a certificate and starting a program like in agronomy. But there are other, just like there's minors, there's also graduate certificates these days. So that really wasn't part, again, of the manual, the student handbook years ago. If you're interested in a graduate certificate, they are standalone credentials, and a lot of times they can be incorporated into your degree program. So you could get a certificate, for example, in GIS. And, some of those credits can apply to your elective credit. So sometimes especially for an online student that's self-funded, doing the agroecology concentration, you can do that, like get an additional certificate. It may require you to take an additional class or two for that certificate. So some of them we can apply to the degree program. Some of them may require you to take another 3 or 6 credits. And they are separate programs. You have to apply to the graduate school for those certificates. So you do get a separate kind of it's a diploma, but it's a diploma for a non-degree. It's a diploma for your certificate, but they can be useful in the industry or in job market. So many students sort of take those.
There's information here in the handbook about scholarships that you can apply for or different awards. There are Dr. Babar currently oversees the graduate award committee in the department, and periodically he sends out award announcements. And so look for emails from Dr. Babar regarding award opportunities. And there may be other awards in your discipline that you're aware of that you may have an interest in applying for. And generally, you would work with your major professor to do that so that they know what's going on and that you're applying for an award. Often they will lead the award application for you and then work with Dr. Babar, who right now is the chair of our award committee. Again, but look out for those award announcements from him. Those typically do not come from me or the department, but would come from Dr. Babar. And there's lots of information here for different awards and scholarships that you may want to look into on your own. The word petition was mentioned earlier. Sometimes we need to petition for approval of a particular class, or we may need to petition for readmission if a situation arises that requires that. there's various situations where we need to develop petitions, and those are done through working with Lorraine and Alexia and myself in order for those petitions to get completed, signed off on, and formally submitted. And then we wait for the graduate school to review and provide a response to those petitions. I think that's it. There's some information on faculty members here, and this needs to be updated as well. For instance, Dr. Farrell is not our interim chair. He is our department chair. And there's a few others here, but this is going to be probably 95% correct. And hopefully the website with respect to faculty members is 100% correct. I'm seeing here Dr. Leary is no longer with the department. Dr. Estrada is no longer with the department. But most of these individuals will be, and there may be one or two new faculty members that are not included here, but they would be up to date with the online listing of faculty. Here we have Dr. Farrell, again, he's not interim, and myself, Dr. Koenig, and this is an old version where we need to replace our former academic assistant, Lisa, with Alexia and Lorraine. And as I said, the four of us will be your primary contacts through your graduate program. Please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. If you're not in town, but happen to find yourself in town, you're welcome to come by any of our offices for a face-to-face meeting so that you know who we are and we can get to know you a little bit better. I always enjoy getting to know the students in the department. And if you reach out to one of us and we think one of the others is more appropriate, then we will facilitate that interaction probably through email. Any questions? Let's see, I'm going to close that.
I just also had a couple of just comments before we go. If nobody has questions, but I'll wait to see if anybody has a question. Okay, so I just have a couple of important tips that maybe aren't in the handbook, but I think are really things to keep in mind for graduate students. So inevitably, most students, not all, but most students through their program of study run into personal problems, academic problems, just life problems. And sometimes those problems cause grades, or maybe if you're doing research or you research to not be maybe what you expected, you know. If you're feeling that you're not going to do well in a class, say if you're getting a C, it's a good thing to even discuss that with your major professor so that they're aware of it. If you feel like you're not going to pass your courses, like say you're really doing poorly, there's a lot we can do if we know about it, especially if we know about it early on. So if you tell us the last week of the semester that I'm failing my classes, you know, Lorraine, Kevin, and myself are going to look at ourselves and we're going to say, you know, not much we can do. You know, we'll ask you to maybe talk to your professor and see if there's anything. But the point is, early on, you know, you'll have to sort of, you know, have a self-reflection for yourself to realize, I'm just not doing well. Reach out. You know, we're not going to yell at you. We're going to help you, and we're going to guide you, most importantly, so that you remain in the program. Because there's lots of mechanisms that can apply. There's going to be a period where you can drop a course financially. You may not get your money back, but you'll still retain a position in your graduate program. And typically that's not going to hurt your GPA, you know, if you do it within a period of time. But if you wait to the end and it's past the drop add period and you get below that 3.0, it's very, very hard. Lorraine and I can tell you, it takes a long time when students fail a class to get their GPA back to over 3.0. It's easy. It's like money in the stock market. Sometimes it's easy to lose and harder to win, you know? So same thing when with the grade, it's sometimes it's easy to drop that GPA, but it's really hard. And that will come back to haunt you continually each semester until you get it back over that 3.0. You might end up finding yourself paying for 40 credits rather than 30 so that you can get a degree to get out of here, where you could have solved the problem if you just communicated and we talked about it and we discovered ways to solve the problem before it was too late. So keep an eye on things. Sometimes it's not in people's personalities or it's not part of your culture to sort of communicate that news. But here it's really encouraged because we're here to help. And we can do a really great job helping you. If we know what the issues are, we can reach out, we can find out what, we have time to investigate and find the best path forward for you. So as soon as you see, a problem, communicate that to us. And the other thing is always use your UFL email. Like, I don't like seeing Gmails anymore. I don't like seeing Yahoo mails anymore. I'm not going to mail things to your Yahoo. I want to see that UFL email, and you need to check that because, again, there's these deadlines. Sometimes the deadlines are things you can just delete because they don't pertain to you. But many of them are going to be repeated or they're going to be there. And again, if you miss them, usually it costs you money. A lot of times it also costs you time. Time sometimes students don't worry about, but when it costs them money, that's usually when there's an alarm that gets set off. And then, you'll call Lorraine and you'll ask her to help, save you from having to pay the money. And she's going to say, did you get the email? Check your email. There was a deadline for that. So email, UFL email, checking that, keeping up with that, you're going to, save yourself time and potentially save yourself some financial challenges too if you just do that. And then remember, this is my own personal thing, and I'll give a shout out to our staff, whether it's Elaine or Alexia or or anyone. They are doing a really great job, but they're not just dealing with you. There's how many students? 80 sometimes students in the program. So just be respectful of her time, really take responsibility for the things that are pertinent to your program. And, we always, again, we want to help students. And when they do have problems, it does take a lot of time. So if you're respectful of her time for the things that you should be responsible for, like registering for your classes on time, that really helps her filling out that form so that she doesn't have to send you an email every semester. Just try to respect her time and it'll be greatly appreciated. And then if you do run into a challenge, then we'll have more time to be able to attend to your key challenges rather than things that you could have found in the graduate handbook if you read it. But I think you'll all do fine. As Dr. Kenworthy said, we're here to help. Most of the faculty are really, I think, wanting to see students grow and learn and help them, achieve what they need to achieve. So just realize it's a partnership and we need you on board throughout the program, just kind of paying attention and communicating with us. So thank you for attending.
Yeah, I meant to make the email comment earlier in the introduction. So thank you, Rose. That is very important. And also to back up what she just said, your graduate program is a partnership between you, your major professor, your lab mates, your committee, lots of people involved. Everyone is invested in your success. And it really is an investment. Your major professor has will be investing into you financial resources, time. It's in their best interest for you to succeed. So if you find yourself struggling, go to them as soon as you can. Don't wait because they want to help you. I know some of these things can be difficult to discuss, but the sooner they're brought out, the sooner they can be overcome. And the sooner you can be provided resources, and the sooner you will realize that everyone is on your side and wants to help. If something does occur and you feel you need to leave your graduate program, if you are funded on an assistantship, make sure you're communicating this and do not just up and leave and disappear. I'm going to say that again. If you find yourself in a situation where you think you cannot continue your graduate program, don't just disappear. Do everything you can to finish that semester and then leave. If you leave, if your project is being funded and your tuition is being paid, if you leave in the middle of that semester, the university is going to make you financially responsible for the tuition from that semester. And you don't want to get stuck with that bill. If you find yourself in a position where you have to leave, and it happens, nobody wants to think about this, but it does happen. Make sure you're talking about it and make sure you do your best to complete the semester so that you're not stuck with having to go backwards and pay for that semester. And I hope that's not a negative note to end on. We are all here to help you, and we're excited to have you in the department. And we'll open it back up one more time for questions. And Conrado, we didn't have you earlier, so you didn't get to introduce yourself. If you'd like to do that, that'd be great.
Hi everyone, so my name is Conrado. I'm from Brazil, so it's a pleasure to be here, sharing this place with you. And I'm going to be a master student under the supervision of the Dr. Sido, and I'm taking my flight on this Friday to Quincy in Florida, and I'm very excited to start the masters.
Thank you, Conrado. Anybody else? Questions?
One thing that comes to mind, Professor, is something I was made aware of in different departments in my past, academic departments, and they like to list off where students might have gone based on the major that they focused on, whether it be just agronomy or within the agroecology concentration, for example. Meaning, so job placement or where some of your students may currently be. Do you have any resources like that on the department web pages or anything?
We do not. In fact, we don't even have a list of students on our website. Sometimes lab web pages might list the students with information such as that, but we don't have that within the department. But it's definitely not a bad idea, something that we could discuss. So I appreciate you.
We have we have some alumni lists. So as people depart the program, like especially at the PhD level, we request students do sort of an interview with the graduate coordinator. So sometimes they know that information as they're leaving, like they're doing a postdoc, but a lot of times it stops getting accurate very quickly because they're there for a year and then they get a position. But if there's anything in particular, Ken, that you have questions on, I know I kind of keep track of some of our students and where they are. So usually I know like maybe their first job out of the university, but I can't be held responsible for, 10 years from now if they're still there. Some students are much better at, alumni relations and letting us kind of know where they're at. But I can say many of our master's degrees, depending on if they're an international student or, a national student, they have different trajectories. A lot of our students at the master's level in a thesis can go on to graduate school, or if they go back to their country, they may be in ministries or working at, universities, depending on what they are, required to do. A lot of our PhD students go on to academic positions. Sometimes they start in postdocs, but, others go into industry too. So a lot of times it's either industry, government, or, public service, private sector. But then, if you want to know specific companies or if you have particular interests, yeah, you can reach out to me and I can fill you in on some of the agroecology students, at least the ones that I kept track of.
Okay, great. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Oh,
I just
uh-oh.
have one
Oh.
thing about registration. If you have not registered yet, you still have until this Friday, January 9th, to get registered because after Friday, if you register during the late registration week, which will be Monday, January the 12th through the 16th, you're gonna be charged $100 late registration fee. So if you have not registered, please this week, go ahead and get your registrations to me so I can get you registered for your courses and keep you from getting that $100 fee, late registration fee.
Yeah, so Ken, I send you an email. Just let me know if you have time tomorrow and we'll meet up. And then
Yes, indeed.
Kendall, same thing. Yeah, I think I sent you, or I can't remember. There's like 3 or 4 students I already contacted about getting, but your EEP, you're a little bit different. So we'll talk
Yeah.
about how you do
I was
that.
gonna say I can't register until the Monday, so I didn't
Right.
know how that.
Exactly,
Right.
right.
So this goes back to all the different sections and types of students.
Right.
There's no one rule for, unfortunately, like even in this orientation, you can see there's no one rule that applies to everyone. If there was, it would be a lot easier, but we have all different kinds of students doing different kinds of degrees in different ways. And that's a great thing. I think it's very inclusive of, working students and international students and lots of different things, but it also can get confusing, in an orientation session. You have to kind of pick and choose which information is relevant to your program.
Also, just a reminder that classes begin on January 12th. So classes begin
Right.
then, and then your fees will be due on January 23rd. So as Dr. Kenworthy, when he was going through the handbook, if you cannot pay your fees at that time, please make sure you pay at least $10 so that you won't get charged a late tuition fee. Okay?
Okay.
Right. And for those that's on tuition waivers, please be patient with us. We will get your tuition waivers into the system to be paid. As Dr. Kenworthy had mentioned earlier, it usually takes a while for that, but we will get those put in the system for you by the deadline time for tuition waivers to be entered. Okay?
Going once, going twice. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.